The buzz of my phone slices through the emergency room noise like a scalpel. 3 traumas in an hour, alarms chiming from every direction, and then that insistent vibration at my hip that makes my stomach drop. No one calls me mid-shift unless something's wrong. I duck into the supply closet and rip off gloves speckled with someone else's blood. Lily flashes across the screen. My heartbeat vaults. Hey, honey, what's going on? Her answer is a tangle of sobs. Mom, my key won't work anymore. What do you mean it won't work? I press the phone so tight to my ear it hurts, trying to hear past the overhead pages and the rolling of gurney wheels. I put the key in and it won't turn. She gasps. I'm on the porch, it's raining really hard, and Oscar won't stop crying in his carrier. I close my eyes and see it, my 12-year-old on the front steps, backpack soaked through, clutching the cat carrier while the sky opens up on her small shoulders. Where's Grandma? Where's Tessa? Nobody's answering. I can see lights, but no one comes to the door. A cold, metallic fear slides through me. Go to the side porch where there's more cover. I'm coming now. I blow back into the ER and nearly collide with Doctor. Martinez, stretchers clog the hall, monitors bleat. Somebody shouts for a crash cart. Gianna, we need you in Bay 3. The GSW from the pileup needs. My daughter's locked out of the house. My voice tastes like panic. I have to go. He stares. We're slammed. Can someone else get her? There is no one else. The truth lands hard and unarguable. It always has been me. I shoulder past him to the nurse's station. Nancy, I need to leave. Family emergency. Supervisor Wheeler doesn't even look up at first. We're already down 3 nurses, Gianna. Can it wait? My father just died, Nancy. The words hit the space between us like a dropped stone. She exhales. Go. Rain is sheeting down when I pull into the driveway. Through furious wiper blades, I make out Lily huddled under the side overhang, hair pasted to her cheeks, uniform clinging to her skin. The cat carrier keens. I leave the car running and sprint. In 2 seconds, my scrubs are soaked. I'm here, baby, I'm here. She folds into me, shaking. Why doesn't my key work? I don't know yet. I smooth wet hair from her forehead. Let me try mine. We head to the front door, the living room curtains twitch. Someone is inside. My key slides in and refuses to turn, exactly like she said. I pound the wood. Hello, Marjorie, Tessa, open the door. It opens. My mother stands there with a wine glass like a prop. Her silver hair is immaculate. The perfume is new. Behind her, my half. Sister Tessa leans against the wall with her own glass of red, amused. Well, Marjorie says, eyes traveling over our drenched clothes. You got here faster than I expected. What's going on? I angle Lily behind me. Why don't our keys work? My mother plants herself squarely in the doorway with surprising force for 65. We've decided you and Lily don't live here anymore. For a second, it's like she's speaking through water. What are you talking about? This is our home. Not anymore. Tessa sing-songs, pointing toward the curb. Your stuff's out there. What's left of it? The rain's doing a number. I follow her gesture. The boxes are collapsing into pulp. Clothes, books, Lily's projects, my nursing text, our lives. Bleeding onto the lawn. Oscar yowls again, thin and panicked. Something hard and still drops into place in my chest. I look at my mother, the woman I moved back to help when Dad got sick, and see a stranger wearing her face. Understood. I say evenly. Tessa's brows jump, disappointed there's no scene to drink in. 2 years ago, I gave up my downtown apartment and stepped off the promotion track to care for my father, Dr. Peter Reynolds, adored by colleagues and patients, and apparently by everyone except his wife. I worked 14-hour shifts and then came home to manage meds, appointments, meals, the house, while Marjorie played bridge and Tessa visited, when there were photos to post. You've always been the strong one, Gianna, they'd say. I promised myself I'd hold the family together after he died. I didn't realize it would mean clawing for our survival in a storm. Come on, Lil, I murmured, turning away. Let's get what we can. We walk into the downpour. Her shoulders tremble, but she doesn't cry. She is my daughter. I pop the trunk of the Honda and triage our life. Warped books, photo albums running to watercolor, Lily's science ribbon with the ink bleeding down the satin. From the porch, Marjorie raises her voice over the rain. Your father spoiled you. This was always my house. Across the street, blinds are half tilted, faces pressed to glass. Mrs. Donovan with her hand over her mouth, the Fishers whispering. I go back to the door one last time, rain streaming off my chin. We'll be at the Residence Inn on 5th. I say, forward our mail. Lily tugs my sleeve, but Grandpa's books are still inside. She whispers, and there's the first crack in her voice. I squeeze her hand and meet my mother's gaze. Trust me, honey, this isn't over. Something flickers across Marjorie's expression, Sue. Surprise, maybe, that I didn't dissolve at her feet. Behind her, Tessa tops off her wine. Her hand isn't steady. As I drive away, I catch my mother in the rearview, Maul on the porch, glass in hand. For one lucid beat, I finally see it, not love, but resentment of me, of what Dad and I had that she never did. Rain drums the roof. Lily curls around Oscar's carrier. The road ahead is a smear of water and streetlights and the unknown. And in the middle of the fear, something else begins to uncurl in my chest. It feels suspiciously like freedom. The Residence Inn looks like the aftermath of a small storm inside our room. Soggy cardboard boxes sit in uneven islands on the beige carpet. Lily's uniform hangs from the shower rod, still dripping. Oscar crouches under the desk, damp, offended, refusing to come out. I've spread what we salvaged across the bed like artifacts from a dig. My nursing manuals, their pages buckled. Lily's project notes, the ink melted into cloudy waves. A family photo where my father's smile has turned to watercolor. I dial a number I know by heart. Michael Porter's office. A crisp voice on the 4th ring. Mr. Porter is in court. This is Gianna Reynolds. I say, pressing the phone tight. I need to speak with Michael immediately. It's about my father's estate. I'm sorry, Ms. Reynolds. Tell him it's Dr. Peter Reynolds' daughter. I cut in steady. Marjorie has locked us out. Silence. Then, hold please. Moments later, Michael's voice arrives, slightly breathless. Gianna, what on earth? I lay out the facts the way I present a trauma handoff. Changed locks, possessions on the curb, rain, child present. Day to points, no drama. That's not possible. He interrupts. Gianna, your father transferred the house into a trust for you and Lily 6 months ago. The room tilts. What? Peter placed the property into the Reynolds family trust beneficiaries, you and Lily. Marjorie has zero claim to occupancy. She cannot legally bar you from entry. I sit on the edge of the bed because my knees decide not to cooperate. Why didn't he tell me? There's a letter with the documents. Michael says, softer, he asked me to keep quiet unless. This happened. The bathroom door opens. Lily steps out with a towel turban, watching my face like it's a weather report. I'm coming to your office. I tell Michael, now. An hour later, legal paper fans out across his mahogany desk. Deeds, filings, the trust schedule, all notarized and recorded. Michael slides a sealed envelope toward me. My name is on the front in my father's neat doctor script. I break the seal. My dearest Gianna, the letter begins. If you're reading this, Your mother has done what I feared. The house belongs to you and Lily. It always did in my heart. Marjorie has never valued what she had, not the home, not you, and at times not me. You left your own life to shoulder mine. Take care of our girl, and this home will take care of you both. With all my love, Dad. A tear falls onto his signature and spiders the ink, the way rain fractured our cardboard boxes. Your father prepared for this, Michael says. We can file for an emergency order today. They're in the property unlawfully. My phone buzzes. A text from Karen, our neighbor. They're painting your bedroom. Tessa's SUV keeps unloading. Also, boys jumping on Lily's bed. A second photo arrives. Tiny silhouettes wrestling in a window I can identify with my eyes closed. Tessa's moved in. I tell Michael, showing him. Within 24 hours, his jaw tightens. They planned this, the full picture. I say, defaulting to triage mode. What are we up against? Marjorie will pull the mother card. Say you abandoned care. Question your fitness. Michael replies. Tessa already called me this morning, implying you're unstable since Peter's death. Unstable. I repeat, the word sharp in my mouth. And Ray, her husband, mentioned converting your dad's study for the twins. Michael's mouth flattens. Another buzz from Karen. They're hauling boxes into your father's library. The boys are using a stethoscope like a jump rope. Something inside me aligns with a clean click. I turn toward the window. Downtown glass reflects a woman in scrubs with granite in her eyes. I save strangers every day. I say, barely above a whisper, it's time I save us. Lily looks up from a box of rescued papers. She doesn't speak, but hope flickers across her face like a match catching kindling. This isn't about revenge. I tell Michael, coming back to the desk. It's about right and wrong. I make 3 decisions quickly, the way I make them when a dozen patients hit the door at once. First, I'm calling out for the next 3 days. We build the case. Michael's already pulling forms. I'll file for emergency possession and a restraining provision. Your father left a roadmap. Back at the hotel, Doctor, Sarah Williams is waiting in the lobby with 2 suitcases. Clean scrubs, clothes for both of you, real shampoo. She says simply, I haven't cried since the night I found my father's body. The kindness almost breaks the dam. An hour later, Miss Bennett from Lily's school knocks with a folder, assignments, and a written account of what Lily shared. She's one of our strongest students. She adds, gentler now. I wanted you to have documentation. By evening, the room looks less like a wreck and more like a command center. Michael gets the bank manager on a video call. He confirms the trust, the filings, and offers a temporary line of credit against the property. Your father's planning was meticulous, he says. The trust is airtight. A new number lights my phone. Gianna, it's Elinor. My mother's younger sister. We haven't spoken in years. Aunt Elinor. I know what Marjorie's done. She says, anger threading her voice. She bragged at Christmas she'd reclaim her life once Peter was gone. Why are you telling me this? I ask, careful, because it's wrong, and because Tessa already listed your father's medical equipment on Facebook Marketplace. A pause. I took screenshots. By midnight, Michael has filed the emergency motion. My savings is lighter for the retainer, but for the first time since the rain, hope feels like something I can hold. On the bed, Lily strokes Oscar, who finally ventured out. I miss Mittens, she whispers. The second cat's still trapped in the house. We'll bring her home, I say, and Grandpa's books. Everything, she asks, searching my face. Everything, I promise. She draws in a breath. Mom, yes, the hardest person to stand up to is your mother. It's a line from a book we read last summer. Tonight it sounds like scripture. I pull her into my side, sometimes, but not as hard as letting her keep hurting you. My phone lights again. Michael, the law is on your side. Unambiguously, outside, rain taps the window, not the violent kind that strips things away, but the soft kind that rinses a city clean. Marjorie's Facebook post hit my phone at 3:17 a.m. I was already awake, staring at the ceiling while the air conditioner hummed and Lily's quiet breathing filled the room. Please pray for our family during this difficult time, the post read. After Peter's passing, Gianna has chosen to abandon the family home where she was raised. Grief affects people in strange ways. Your prayers mean everything. There were already 7 comments beneath it, hearts, praying hands, sympathetic words from neighbors and church friends who'd known me since childhood. I didn't reply. I took a screenshot. Documentation, not reaction. That's what Michael said yesterday. Mom, Lily's voice came from the darkness. You okay? Just checking messages, sweetheart. Go back to sleep. I can't. She shifted under the covers. Mrs. Peterson texted me. She said Tessa told her mom you're having mental problems. The words felt like a physical blow. Tessa had started spreading stories not just online, but at Lily's school. By morning, the whispers had grown teeth. Aunt Catherine called while I was brushing my hair. Uncle Robert called during breakfast. Cousin Jennifer followed an hour later while I was driving to Michael's office. Each one said the same thing in different tones of concern. We heard you've been unstable since your dad passed. Michael's expression hardened as he spread documents across his desk. They're building a narrative, he said. Marjorie's refusing to accept the certified letters all 3 attempts. I figured. I flipped open my notebook, the same one where I used to log patient vitals. Tessa's husband followed me into the hospital parking garage last night. I added quietly, told me I was making things harder than they needed to be. Michael looked up sharply. Was anyone there? Security cameras. I've already requested the footage. He smiled faintly, impressed. You're learning fast. Behind him, a calendar hung with a red circle around today's date, 1 week since the lockout. My nursing colleagues are documenting everything, I said. Every hour I spent at the hospital while caring for Dad. Doctor, Nichols is drafting a statement confirming Dad's mental clarity when he made the trust transfer. Michael nodded. The sheriff's office confirmed they'll enforce a possession order the moment it's signed, and the hospital administration reached out they're ready to back you publicly. For the first time in days, something inside me steadied. Not the frantic energy of survival, but a quieter, heavier calm, the kind that comes before a fight you know you'll win. I need Lily's birth certificate, I said, and Dad's medical records, originals. We can request duplicates. No, I said. The originals are still in his study. I want them today. 40 minutes later, I parked 3 houses down from what was legally my home. A cruiser idled at the corner officer banks, our quiet backup, nodded once. The walk up the familiar sidewalk felt surreal. 7 days ago, I stood here drenched and helpless. Now, each step felt deliberate, owned. I knocked once, twice, 3 times. When the door opened, Marjorie's smile froze halfway. You're not welcome here. I held my phone high. This is a recorded request for my legal property, my daughter's birth certificate, and my father's medical records. Tessa appeared behind her, face flushed. We'll call the police. Please do, I said. They're already here. Officer Banks stepped out of the cruiser, uniform crisp. Ma'am, MS, Reynolds has the legal right to retrieve those documents. Marjorie's eyes glistened, tears she could summon on command. After everything I've done for you, but when they didn't work, when I didn't soften, her face hardened, voice cutting like glass. You think you can take what's mine? Across the street, Mrs. Daniels pretended to prune her roses. Mr. Wilson slowed his dog walk to a crawl. The neighborhood court of silent witnesses, the filing cabinet. I said evenly, in Dad's study, I'll wait. 10 minutes later, I walked back down the steps with a manila envelope in hand. Inside were the originals, small victories, but victories all the same. The next morning, Sarah Williams met me in the hospital cafeteria, sliding a sealed envelope across the table. "That's my statement about your father's care," she said. "2 years of watching you manage everything no jury will doubt you." Later that day, Miss Bennet called. "I've written a letter about Lily's relationship with her grandfather, how she read to him every night, and how he attended every school event when you couldn't." By dusk, Michael had a stack of 17 affidavits ready to file. Even Elinor contributed, he said, flipping through pages. She found screenshots of Marjorie trying to sell the family heirlooms. I clenched my jaw. Dad's library collection. "And your grandmother's silver," Michael confirmed. That evening, Father Morgan, the hospital chaplain, left a voicemail. "I've submitted my witness statement, Gianna. I was there when you prayed with your father. His peace was because of you. People were choosing sides, but not the sides my mother expected." By Thursday, everything shifted. The judge personally reviewed our emergency filing and fast-tracked the hearing. "I want to deliver this myself," Michael said, waving the official notice of eviction. His tone was almost gleeful, a rare emotion for a lawyer. I sat in my car across the street as he approached the house. Marjorie answered in her robe, took the certified envelope, and frowned as she opened it. Through the windshield, I watched her eyes scan the page, then freeze. Property owner, Gianna Reynolds. Tessa appeared behind her, phone already to her ear. Panic bloomed. Marjorie didn't move. She just stood there, paper trembling in her hand as Michael walked away. For the first time, I saw something new in her expression. Not anger, not defiance, but the dawning realization that her daughter wasn't going to break this time. That evening, Michael spread our evidence across his conference table like a battlefield map. Color-coded calendars, green for appointments, blue for medications, red for emergencies. Financial statements showing every mortgage and utility bill I'd paid. Photographs of our belongings ruined on the curb. And the rain-soaked picture of Lily standing under the porch light, the one that still hurts to look at. The law doesn't care about emotions, Michael said. It cares about proof, and we have plenty. My phone buzzed as I drove back to the hotel. "Michael, court date moved up tomorrow, 9 a.m. Lily sat cross-legged on the bed when I told her. "What if we lose?" She whispered. "We won't." I said softly, "Your grandfather made sure of it." Later that night, after she'd drifted off, I opened the folder I hadn't shown Michael, my father's handwritten letter to the judge, explaining why he transferred the property to me. 3 pages of honesty and love, his handwriting looping strong even in illness. Tomorrow would be the reckoning, but for the first time since the storm, I knew I was ready. The courthouse rose from the city skyline like a slab of pale stone and justice. I adjusted the collar of my blazer, feeling its unfamiliar stiffness against my neck. No scrubs today. Today, I wasn't Nurse Gianna Reynolds. I was the woman my father raised, precise, unshakable, and done being quiet. Beside me, Lily clutched her small notebook, the one she always carried when she needed courage. "Ready?" Michael asked, hoisting his briefcase, "as I'll ever be." Inside, the polished floors reflected the morning light and our mirrored determination. The courtroom smelled faintly of lemon polish and nerves. Marjorie and Tessa were already there, whispering urgently, their faces composed masks of false concern. When my mother's eyes met mine, I expected anger. Instead, I saw confusion, as if she couldn't recognize the woman standing across from her. Maybe she couldn't. Judge Harriet Caldwell entered moments later, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, the kind of presence that silenced entire rooms. "Reynolds family trust dispute," she announced, sliding on her glasses. Temporary possession hearing. Michael rose first, voice calm but commanding. Your Honor, we present a complete timeline of Dr. Peter Reynolds' decisions regarding his estate. He laid out a stack of files like chess pieces, bank statements, medical records, signed affidavits, every document stamped and sealed. The judge skimmed the first page, eyebrows lifting. We have testimony from 3 attending physicians, Michael continued. All confirmed, Doctor. Reynolds was fully competent when he placed his home in trust for his daughter and granddaughter. One by one, he introduced each supporting statement. Dr. Nichols Oncology, Dr. Williams Family Medicine, Dr. HSU Neurology. Each voice, each signature was another nail in Marjorie's wall of denial. And here, Michael said, clicking his tablet, is the video deposition from attorney James Wilson, who drafted the trust. The monitor flickered to life, showing my father's long-time lawyer, gray, haired and solemn. Dr. Reynolds made his wishes explicit. The man said the property was to pass solely to his daughter Gianna and granddaughter Lily Reynolds. He expressed concern that Mrs. Reynolds might attempt to interfere. A collective breath rippled through the courtroom. Marjorie's fingers tightened around her handbag. Our final witness, Your Honor, Michael concluded, is Ms. Patricia Hendricks, Lily Reynolds' school counselor. Ms. Hendricks approached, professional and steady. Lily has shown clear emotional distress since being removed from her home, she said softly. Nightmares, anxiety, declining grades, the environment she lost was her sense of safety. The judge's gaze softened as she glanced toward Lily. Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. Then it was the defense's turn. Marjorie's attorney, Gordon Shaw, adjusted his designer cufflinks and began with a sigh that sounded rehearsed. Your Honor, this is a tragic misunderstanding. My client has only ever acted out of love. Marjorie dabbed fake tears with a tissue. I cared for my husband every day of his illness, she said tremulously. Gianna was hardly home. She was always at that hospital. I gripped the table, nails pressing crescents into my palm. Lies, all of it. Tessa followed, holding up family photos like trophies. Here's Mom helping Dad with his medication. She chirped. Snapshots frozen in time, carefully chosen. One sunny moment out of 1,000 lonely nights my father spent without them. A few church acquaintances testified next, parroting the same line that Marjorie had been a devoted wife, that I'd grown distant. It was a performance, and they were her chorus. When it was my turn, I rose slowly. Your Honor, I said evenly, I moved home 2 years ago to care for my father during his final illness. My hospital schedules, treatment charts, and medication logs are all color, coded in these binders. Please compare them to the dates of his appointments. Michael handed the folders to the clerk. Pages of neatly highlighted records my real testimony. Judge Caldwell's eyes lingered on the evidence, then lifted to mine. Continue. I worked 40-hour shifts, but I never missed a dose, an appointment, or a Sunday dinner with him, I said. Because that's what he asked of me. A rustle at the back drew my eye. A woman stepped forward, my Aunt Eleanor, Marjorie's estranged sister. I'd like to testify, she said, voice steady. Marjorie spun around, stunned. I visited Peter every week, Eleanor said. Most days he was alone. It was Gianna who handled his care, not Marjorie. Michael handed the judge another sealed envelope. Dr. Reynolds prepared a statement in anticipation of this dispute, Your Honor. The judge broke the seal and read silently. Her brow furrowed halfway through, then rose as she reached the final paragraph. A hush filled the room. Then, Your Honor, Lily's voice, small, clear, brave. Judge Caldwell smiled gently. Would you like to say something, young lady? Lily stepped forward, smoothing her skirt. My grandpa taught me chess every Sunday in his study, she said. He told me the house would always be ours, mine and Mom's, because we took care of him. He said Grandma didn't appreciate it the same way. Her voice didn't tremble once. "I just want to go home." A silence hung heavy for a long moment. Even the judge's pen stilled. Marjorie shot to her feet. "She's manipulating you. Peter wasn't in his right mind. Mrs. Reynolds," the judge said sharply, "sit down." For the first time, my mother obeyed without argument. During recess, Michael stepped into the hallway to make a call. Tessa's husband, Ray, followed him, leaning close with a hissed warning. "You'll regret this case." Security caught it all on camera. By the time we reconvened, that footage had already been added to the file. When proceedings resumed, the defense tried to challenge the trust documents. It backfired spectacularly. Their own signatures acknowledging receipt of the trust 6 months earlier were already on record. "Mrs. Reynolds," Judge Caldwell said, flipping through the files, "these medical logs show you attended only 3 of your husband's 27 oncology appointments. Is that correct?" Marjorie fumbled for words. I couldn't bear to watch him suffer. Behind her, Tessa leaned toward her lawyer and whispered something about the agent. The judge's head snapped up. "What agent, Mrs. Peterson?" Tessa froze. "No one. I misspoke. But the damage was done. From the back row, I saw a local reporter scribbling notes. Marjorie noticed too, and turned on her charm. My ungrateful daughter abandoned her father and now wants to steal my home," she declared loudly during the next recess. When the court resumed, my colleagues from Austin General quietly entered, nurses, doctors, paramedics filling an entire bench behind me. A wall of silent truth. Judge Caldwell closed her folder and looked up. "This court rules in favor of Gianna Reynolds and Lily Reynolds," she said. "Temporary possession is granted effective immediately. The sheriff's department will enforce transfer of the property by 5 p.m. today." For a moment, the only sound was Marjorie's sharp intake of breath. Her attorney sagged in his chair. Tessa's face went white. Outside the courtroom, Shaw approached Michael. "Perhaps we can discuss a settlement." "No," I said, stepping forward. "That time's gone." Down the hall, Tessa and Ray's argument echoed. "You said this would be easy." "Maybe you shouldn't have lied to everyone." I walked past them without slowing. Outside, sunlight poured over the courthouse steps, warm and clean. Lily slipped her hand into mine. "Is it over?" "Almost," I said, squeezing gently. "We're going home." By the time we reached the old neighborhood, the afternoon sky had shifted from gold to a soft bruised gray. The sheriff's cruiser was already parked at the curb, lights off, presence unmistakable. I stood beside Michael as the deputy approached the porch. From behind the curtains, a familiar shadow moved Marjorie's outline. Her world had grown smaller since this morning. "Mrs. Reynolds." The deputy called firmly, "We're here under court order to restore possession of this property to its rightful owners." For a long, brittle moment, the door didn't move. Then came the scrape of the lock, slow and reluctant. She opened it with that same practiced composure she used on Sunday churchgoers. "This is unnecessary," she said, voice trembling with dignity she didn't have. The deputy handed her the notice. "Ma'am, you have 1 hour to vacate." Tessa appeared behind her, carrying a box of jewelry and electronics. Her face flushed red when she saw me. "You're unbelievable," she hissed. "You've humiliated our entire family." I met her glare with calm precision. "You did that yourself." Ray followed next, lugging a suitcase. "This is ridiculous, Gianna. We've been nothing but supportive." Michael stepped forward, his tone cold and lawyer-sharp. "Supportive doesn't include identity fraud and property misrepresentation, Mr. Peterson. You're lucky my client isn't pressing criminal charges." Ray's jaw snapped shut. Inside, the house was a museum of rearranged memories. The furniture had been moved, the curtains replaced, and the walls. painted a pale lavender that felt wrong. My father's study door hung open, stripped of its shelves. Even his chair was gone. Lily clung to my hand as we stepped into the foyer. "This doesn't feel like home," she whispered. "It will." I said quietly, "We'll fix it." Marjorie lingered at the threshold, her eyes darting from the sheriff to me. "You're going to regret this, Gianna. You think you've won, but you've broken this family." "Families break when people forget how to love," I replied evenly. Dad never forgot. Her lips trembled. For the first time, the mask slipped, revealing not hatred, but fear. Maybe she finally understood what losing everything really meant. The deputy cleared his throat. "Ma'am, time's up." She hesitated, glancing toward the staircase. "I'll get my things. You have 10 minutes," he said. She disappeared upstairs, footsteps thudding on the hardwood. Moments later, she came down carrying a small suitcase and a photo frame, our old family portrait, faded but still whole. For a fleeting second, her eyes softened on the picture. Then she turned and walked out without a word. The door shut behind her with a final click, the sound of an era ending. The house was silent again, the kind of silence that hums full of echoes and unfinished sentences. Lily wandered into the kitchen, brushing her fingers over the counter. "Grandpa's coffee mug is still here," she said, voice small. I walked over, tracing the rim. "He'd want us to use it," I whispered. From the corner of my eye, I noticed the shoebox tucked behind the pantry door, one I'd thought was lost. Inside, my father's handwriting covered a stack of index cards, each labeled in his neat script: mortgage records, utilities, future plans. The final card read, "If Marjorie tries to fight, remind her of who you are." Tears finally came, slow and cleansing. For the first time, they didn't burn. That night, the house smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and rain. We slept in my father's room because Lily wanted to be close to the stars she could see through his skylight. "Mom," she whispered into the dark, "do you think Grandpa knows?" I smiled through tears. He knew before we even started. The moonlight fell across the floor in soft silver ribbons. For the first time in months, I slept deeply. No fear, no anger, just peace. 2 weeks later, life began to take shape again. We repaired the shelves, repainted the walls, and reopened the windows that had been sealed shut. Every morning, sunlight filled the house like forgiveness. Michael stopped by one evening to drop off the final papers. "It's official," he said, smiling. "The property is permanently yours. The trust is closed." I signed the last form, my hand steady. "Thank you, Michael, for everything. You did this yourself," he replied. "Your father just gave you the tools." After he left, I walked through the quiet rooms, my father's study, the kitchen, the porch where Lily played with Oscar again. Everything felt both new and ancient at once, like returning to the heartbeat of a home that had only been sleeping. Across the street, a moving truck idled in front of Marjorie's rented townhouse. She caught sight of me through the window just for a second. I lifted my hand in a small, silent wave. She didn't wave back, but she didn't look away either. For a moment we simply stood there, separated by years of hurt and a single street. Maybe one day that distance would shrink, but not today. Behind me, Lily's laughter echoed from the kitchen, bright, untangled, real. "Mom, come taste the cookies." I smiled, closing the door gently. Inside, the scent of vanilla and warmth filled the air. We didn't need to reclaim peace anymore. We were already living in it. 6 months later, the rain falls differently. It no longer sounds like despair against the windows. It sounds like renewal. Gentle, cleansing, familiar in the best way. I stand at the kitchen sink, watching droplets race each other down the glass. The same window where I once stared out, lost and broken. Now, every drop feels like proof that storms don't always destroy sometimes. They make space for growth. Dad's study remains mostly untouched. His books line the shelves again. His glasses rest where he left them. The scent of old paper and cedar still lingers, grounding me. Above the door, Lily has hung a small wooden sign she carved herself. Dr. Peter Reynolds Memorial Reading Room. Sometimes I sit in his chair, tracing the grain of the desk, and read his old notes not because I have to, but because I want to. It makes me feel close to him again. Lily's garden blooms in the backyard, an explosion of life and color. She calls it the Peace Project. Each plant has a handwritten tag: hope, courage, second chances. She spends hours tending to it, rain or shine. Her quiet diligence mirrors the man she adored, her grandfather. On my desk sits the promotion letter from Austin Memorial, nursing supervisor, emergency services. Dr. Williams had insisted I accept it. Your father would be proud, she'd said, tears in her eyes, and for the first time I believed her. The new security system hums softly in the background. 6 cameras, reinforced locks, not from fear but from promise. A vow to never again let anyone decide when I belong. Mom, Lily's voice floats in from the porch. Come watch the rain with me. I pour 2 mugs of chamomile tea and join her outside. The porch looks different now, freshly painted, wind chimes swaying gently, soft yellow light spilling from inside. We sit side by side in the rocking chairs that once belonged to my parents. It's raining just like that day. Lily says quietly, watching the downpour. Yes, I reply, but it feels different now, because it's our home, she asks. I smile, squeezing her hand. It always was. She leans her head against my shoulder, and together we listen to the rhythm of the rain, steady, calm, and forgiving. Later, after Lily goes to bed, I sit at my desk with my journal, my therapist's suggestion, now my sanctuary. Tonight's prompt reads, how has your definition of strength changed? For a while, I just stare at the question. Then my pen begins to move. Strength isn't endurance. It isn't sacrificing yourself to keep everyone else standing. It's knowing when to stop carrying what's breaking you. It's saying no when silence would be easier. It's setting boundaries and still choosing love, just not at your own expense. I glance at the framed quote hanging above the desk, my father's handwriting, preserved from one of his notes. Real strength isn't carrying everything. It's knowing what to put down. I close my eyes and let that truth settle deep in my bones. Oscar jumps onto the desk, heavier now, healthy and content. His purr rumbles like a heartbeat as he sprawls across my journal. I scratch behind his ears and laugh softly. Even he's a reminder that survival can turn into comfort, that chaos can find its rhythm again. For the first time in months, I realize the house doesn't echo anymore. It hums, it lives. Friday nights have become sacred again. Popcorn, old movies, and Lily falling asleep halfway through just like she did when Dad was still here. Sometimes healing isn't about starting over. It's about reclaiming what was always good and letting go of the rest. At the hospital, one of the new nurses, Jessica, barely 24, approached me last week, eyes downcast. My mom keeps taking my paycheck, she whispered, says I owe her for raising me. I saw the pain I once carried reflected in her face. I handed her the printed guide I'd written, Caregiver Boundaries and Rights, a project born from my own scars, now helping others navigate theirs. Start here, I told her. You're not alone. She nodded, eyes brimming with quiet relief. Later, I stood in the break room, staring at the copy of my guide pinned to the staff board, and realized that even pain can become purpose if you refuse to let it define you. Lily's school presentation last month was titled, What Makes a Home? Her final slide read, a home isn't just walls and a roof. It's where you're safe to be yourself. When the class applauded, she smiled at me across the room. And I knew she was right. The spare bedroom now hosts Sarah, the traveling nurse who once showed up at our hotel with clothes and hope. She calls it her safe stop. It feels right to give shelter where we once sought it. Yesterday, I received a message from Elinor. Maybe it's time to heal. She'd written, family should find its way back together. It took me hours to craft my response. Elinor, my door is open to you. But forgiveness without change isn't healing, it's surrender. I wish Marjorie peace, but my boundaries stay where they are. I meant every word. Later that night, I found the unopened letter from my mother, the one she'd left in the mailbox the day she moved out. 5 pages of justification, half truths and soft blame. No apology. I filed it away in a drawer, not as evidence, but as closure. The rain thickens outside, wrapping the world in silver mist. Lily paints on the porch blues, purples, and streaks of gold. Each stroke calm, deliberate. She's grown so much, not just taller, but surer of who she is. Some storms wash things away. I say quietly, watching her. Others help things grow. She looks up, smiling. I like this kind of storm better. The chimes sway above us, handmade from Dad's old medical tags. Each one engraved with a date that once marked pain, now turned to music. As the porch light glows warm against the rain, I look at the wooden sign by the gate, Reynolds Residence. Not a claim of ownership, a declaration of survival, of peace reclaimed, of a woman who finally understood that the house was never about walls, it was about worth. And as the rain whispers against the earth, I whisper back, I'm home.